Cadre. This is my first video attempt ever, and I thought a good one instead of shaving would be starting with the 7 sins of wet shaving. So we'll start in with greed, most expensive, least expensive. So like several of you, my most expensive would be the Nueva soap. I've got the Rosa, that's my favorite scent of the 3. And then most expensive razor would be the one that you see all the time that I'm using, the Asylum RX. I actually got a nice straight razor, but I looked up value on these. I forget what I paid for this. I got it on a BST, but it wasn't full price. But the price on these retail is higher than what I paid for my Stark straight razor. So that kind of surprised me, but that's that one. Least expensive. I guess for usually samples don't count, but I use basically sterling samples as soaps. It's very rare. I think I have 1 tub of sterling. Otherwise I just buy the samples because they last so long. I just cut open the edge and break off a piece and lather it up. So for me that's the least expensive soap. And then again, like several of you, least expensive razor would be the Q-Shave. Don't really use this one for full shave very often. I think it's been since last year. But every now and again I'll leave it set on one with a mild blade in there and use it for cleanup. So Wrath, love to hate. For me that's a brush that I've got. This is what I call my Shawshank Redemption brush. This was made out of the tree at the end of the movie when there's a treasure box hidden at the end of the movie with some cash in it, and that tree started falling down. It was eventually cut down for safety reasons, and there's a few artists that buy pieces of the wood, and most of them are making bigger things like tables, things like that. I've got a brush made out of that wood, but unfortunately the finish on this, I can still smell it. I've had it, wow, I don't know, I think over 6 months now. I've put it out in the sun a couple of times, and I still smell it. So every now and again I'll use it with a stronger scented soap. But yeah, it frustrates me that whenever I use it and it's getting close to my nose, I'm going to smell the finish that's on it. Gluttony, most delicious scent. This has got to be the toughest one. If you follow along in my journal, you know that I've kind of come to the philosophy of if I don't love to use it, I'll get rid of it. There are too many soaps out there. So almost every day I say this smells great and I should be using it more. So I was going to run through my top 5 in no particular order except for number 1. So one of my tops is German Street by Taylor of Old Bond Street. I love this, especially the cologne spray on afterwards. It's a beautiful scent. All of you know Ghost Town Barber. There's nothing like using this on a morning and then spraying on the EDP afterwards and walking around feeling like a tough guy all day, right? And then you've got the SV soaps. Again, I think several of you have mentioned these. You got the Umpuntia and the 70th. Much like the other Dave, or the first Dave, or one of the Daves. 70th used to be my favorite of those, but it's been eclipsed. This one's awesome. I don't have the aftershave yet, and that's going to be on my purchase list once I feel like I should be purchasing more. But the top dog of them all would be Russian Tea. I got very lucky to have this piff to me. This would have been my lust. I've been trying to get this for quite a long time, and there's nothing like it. You just get a tea, you get lemon, you get a little bit of honey, and it's just a joy to be able to use that. So that would be my number 1 for gluttony. Sloth, most neglected out of laziness. It would be this one, which you can see has no label, and that's why this is my sloth, is because I always forget what's in here and I have to look up on my list of soaps and get reminded. This is Fine Green Vetiver, which is a fine soap and a nice scent, but whenever I open my drawer and I see this, I have no clue what's in there, and so I just pass it by for something else. Most proud, Again, several of you are pride, what you're most proud of. So several of you have mentioned your shaving cadre brushes, so same with me. I think it's pretty awesome what this represents, especially since one of our own made it. And on top of that, it's a gorgeous brush. So I think it would probably be my favorite brush even without what it represents, but given that there's a whole group of wonderful people that are friends and supportive of each other behind this, I'd have to say that's my number one. Lust. What do you really want? Well, like I said, now that I've got my Russian tea, it's hard to pick. There's lots of things that I want. I wouldn't say any of them I go after like I did the Russian tea. But the one that I want the most would have to be this, Penhooligans. I love this. I'm down to half of a sample. I've got it on my list that my wife knows that I would love to get this at some point, but again, just the price point, I don't feel like I can just throw it in a cart and get it on a whim. So the Endymion, I wouldn't mind smelling this all day, every day on myself. And then last, Envy. Who do you envy in the wet shaving community? My first thought, like also several of you, would be those guys that can use a straight razor, that can hone it, that get the BBS shaves with it. Just because that seems like such a cool thing. You'd be able to strop your own razor, use your own razor, some of you hone your own razors, and then be able to collect those. I haven't gotten to that point yet. Some of you know I can use kind of the straight lights with the replaceable blades and things like that, but I've struggled switching over to the straights. But the people that I envy the most are those of you that have big shaving dens. One day I'll show you my shaving den and where I shave, but it's very small, and so my collection isn't nearly as large as a lot of yours, I believe, but I still have a little drawer here and a little drawer there and some under the bed and things like that. So that's what I'm envious of. Those of you that can have your own bathroom or a whole side of the bathroom with lots of space and storage and just keep everything where you want it. I'd love to keep my scents paired with the soaps all together and that kind of thing. But I just can't do that in our space. So I guess that's what I would say. So hope you've enjoyed. I've enjoyed all the videos that you've posted, and we'll see what comes in the future.